Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. And again, today I'm your host, Mike Bailey. And again, Alan is not with us, during these first few sessions because we are not allowed to gather in a group of more than one, according to Penn State, as we do Master Gardener activities. So Alan will join us as soon as she's allowed to. She's anxious to get started with us, but we decided not to delay things. This is our second session. We had a session earlier in the week, and we talked about starting seeds inside, and focused in on what types of things are good to try to start inside, and what things probably should not. In a basic, again, quick review: the tomatoes and the peppers and the eggplants and the squash and cucumber, those are good for starting inside or in some kind of a sheltered area, versus things like beans and corns and other things like that are probably not good. Some of those need to be direct planted into the garden. And it's the same with your carrots and your beets and your spinaches and some of your other greens. They do best with direct seeding. But what we want to talk about today, is what do you need to watch out for? And number one, we want to touch on the basis of how early do you need to start this whole process. And number two, the lighting that you need. And number three, the soil or growing medium that you might use. That's my goal for today anyways. Hopefully I'll be able to squeeze that in. But as far as when to start, here it is. I'm recording this on the 30th of March. And I just now started some of my own seeds. And I did some of this stuff early because the Master Gardeners have scheduled supposedly a plant sale for early part of May, and we like to have some of these seedlings ready for that. But if I was going to do it for my own personal garden, I would have probably waited another couple of weeks, before I got this whole process rolling. Because one of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to start too early. If you start too early, number one, I don't like to take care of plants that long inside the house. I'm sorry. And the other thing is that, growing inside is not the ideal spot. And plants will get root bound, etc. if they get too big, etc., and they can get long and leggy. So I like to kind of keep it to some kind of a reasonable window of time that I have to, deal with this stuff on the indoors. And different plants require a different amount of time. Peppers, of all the things you might start on the inside, are probably going to take you the longest period of time. And I came across a real nice article, from Penn State, called Start Farming, and in it they had a nice table about how far in advance you should probably start some things from seed before they're ready to transplant outside. And let me just kind of go through a couple of these things. They said the peppers and the eggplants should probably be started about 6 to 8 weeks prior to your desire to plant them outside. And again, most of the things that you're going to start on the inside are probably warm weather plants. And so for the most of us, you're not going to want to put these things outside, until the latter part of May. You can put them out before that, but they're just going to sit there dormant, in the soil, because they're not going to grow until those temperatures warm up, until that soil warms up. So again, 6 to 8 weeks on the peppers and eggplants. Broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, 5 to 7. Now granted, you can put those out, a little bit earlier in May. Cucumbers and zucchinis, probably only about 4 or 5 weeks. Big seeds, they burst forward with a full set of leaves, very, very quickly, and you can move them out. So they don't take very long. But you do have to kind of keep in mind that the length of time that it's going to take those seeds to germinate or start to burst forth with some growth is going to vary quite a bit, depending upon the temperature of your home, the amount of light that you give them, and the moisture that you provide to them. So, and again, we're going to kind of touch on some of those things as we go along. So let's talk about light. Very, very important. Probably maybe one of the most important things when it comes down to starting seedlings on the inside, the amount of light that you give them. If you think you're going to be able to do it on a windowsill, with a south-facing windowsill and do it well, Okay, that's really a stretch. Okay, now experienced gardeners, you probably know this. Okay, and if you've done this in the past, starting plants without any kind of supplemental light can really be a challenge. Okay, as far as the product is concerned. So I encourage you to investigate some additional sources of lights. Now you can do a number of different things. You can buy a grow light if you'd like, and they're a little bit pricey, and they work very well. There's no question about it. But you don't need to go to that extreme. A regular fluorescent fixture is fine for vegetative growth of plants. And what happens there, it really provides light that's in the blue range. And you can't tell that by looking at it. And that's all you need for that vegetative growth. You could also use some of the LED fixtures. The LED lights work fine, and they're very bright, and they'll help you get to the point that you want to be. In fact, I've kind of switched to LEDs myself, primarily because they're a whole lot less expensive than fluorescent fixtures. By the time I buy a fixture, buy the cord to hook it up, and buy the bulbs to put it in, what I have is, I can probably buy 2 LED fixtures that are, ready to roll out of the box, much more convenient. So I would encourage you to kind of look around and investigate things before you invest a lot of money in some lighting. But you will need it to grow good seedlings. And if you're going to go to all this effort, I encourage you to spend a little bit of money to get it right, so you'll be happy with your end product. So until next time, okay, thank you for listening.